everybody.
Hi.
How are you guys doing? So I'm going to be doing a talk today about how to design for niche communities. There's a lot of engineers here who are like, how do I get people to care about my programming? And that's a lot of what I do. So I'm head of product for a company called TrueRef. So I do features, product marketing. I help lead our third-party agency in building features. We sell stock photos and other digital assets to illustrators. I also am a creative director, so I also do like photography stuff, and I'm a bit of a creative alchemist. I guess I did draw this too, and the posters. So why go niche, right? When we're talking about building for niche communities, the main question is often why. There's so many wars, disease, all of that. It can seem like a noble choice to create a universal solution or to, serve a massive audience of users. The problem is that universal design doesn't really work. You can see this when big companies like eBay in China try to go to China, or Amazon in India, where there are no standardized addresses for Prime to really, to actually deliver to. Look at Xbox, for example. In the late 1990s, Sony sought to enter the PC market during Japan's near complete dominance of the game industry at the time. Nintendo had succeeded in doing the impossible, which was getting normies to put internet into their homes so that they could play MMOs. After finding this out, Bill Gates came in and screamed at his engineers and say, build me a fucking Nintendo or you're all fucking fired. And that's how the Xbox was born. The Xbox for consumers and DirectX for developers. Reopening the Western video game market and doing the amazing, which was getting hundreds of thousands of teenagers to beg their parents to install some computer stuff so they could kill people in Halo. Many Web 2.0 stories also follow the same success. Facebook started as a site to rate women on their college campus, and DeviantArt was a place to showcase and download Winamp skins, if you're old enough to remember that. The case study. Couple lessons. Lesson 1, hobbyists are your lifeblood when it comes to new tech. How can we create more of them? In 2004, Yamaha released a somewhat experimental new software to synthesize human voices via machine learning, with the intention of targeting professional music producers, called Vocaloid. A handful of voice banks, these are sets of voices that were released for purchase to use with the software. It was a fucking failure. With some voice banks like Kaido selling less than 500 copies globally, professionals found the output crude, the UI hard to use, and they struggled to understand the benefit over using a human singer. In 2007, a sequel product was released, Vocaloid 2. Sweet Anne was the first voice bank on the engine, and she was released to little attention. I love when technology. But in 2007, a company working under Yamaha called Krypton Future Media took an unconventional route with their V2 voice bank. Hatsune Miku, it was an near instant success, becoming the #1 software sold on Amazon Japan within 3 months and making over 50 million yen by the end of 2007. Instead of choosing a professional singer, they instead chose to partner with an anime voice actress and a manga artist. Neither were especially well known, but they had moderate success in their communities prior to this. By leaning into more niche audiences and their hobbyist market, they encourage newcomers. Lesson 2, innovation isn't enough. People need imagery and they need inspiration. How can we give it to them? Krypton, a company who sold voice banks on the Vocaloid 1 engine, worked to recidify poor sales and decided to go in a more bold and distinct direction, stating that they needed a better image and leaned into more niche anime shit. Krypton allowed users free reign to use a design and imagery to use however they like stock imagery. Lesson 3, don't follow trends, follow subcultures, and reduce friction in creation. What kinds of subcultures do you know? I know we're all fucking nerds here. Start shouting them out or something. You Dungeons and Dragons people, Magic the Gathering. It's okay, I know you don't stink. Miku's success had a strong alignment with the rise of streaming sharing sites like Nico Nico Doga and YouTube, which encourage users of all skill types to share, and with burgeoning subcultures around anime and video games taking a stranglehold on the internet. Miku and Vocaloid didn't try to copy existing platforms or software, pixel for pixel. It just allowed people to express themselves in new ways that were authentic to them and their community, often covering popular anime openings or mixes at the time, inserting Vocaloids into properties and memes popular with new users. Users also took the liberty of reinterpreting the character however much they liked, which Krypton also enthusiastically embraced. Lesson 4, design is a coalition, not competition, amongst users and devs. How can we unite them? Miku's success started in music, but quickly spread to other communities like dance and art. Users would often upload songs, and dancers, human singers, and artists would respond with covers in their respective fields. 6 months post Miku's release, an open source program similar to Vocaloid, Utal, was raised by an independent developer. Taking a page out of Gabe Newell's playbook, Krypton and Yamaha responded to an upsurge in piracy by redirecting users to this open source alternative, and eventually became co-owners of the company. They even created tools to allow users to port back and forth between different engines, and even promoted another open source animation program that was easy to run on computers that featured features like lip sync. Lesson 5, people don't just want to consume, they want to create. And how do we create a level playing field without theft? The Vocaloid and broader vocal synth subcultures aren't perfect, and there were absolutely massive dramas and fights about things like attribution, credit, community norms, everything else under the sun. But the ease of sharing tuning files and for the program and music on the internet meant that the community had to, and still is, navigating the hows and whys and what's appropriate, and there's no extremely hard answers here. This is normal, and for better or for worse, drama is the sign of a healthy ecosystem, a big fandom, passionate users. I'm from the Bronx. I'm Dominican, if you can't tell. And my home borough's shining achievement is hip hop, and it went through similar growing pains. The answer was not to ignore them and say, I don't care, la la la, innovation, get wrecked, assimilate. It was to create infrastructure that benefited everyone and opened up access. You could become a prominent member of the Vocaloid community having never opened the program in your entire life as an artist or a dancer. Even if you didn't make music, you could do sound mixing or vocal tuning. And a skill in the community could translate well outside of it. In the case of the thousands of animators and 3D modelers who started in Miku Miku Dance, or producers who left Vocaloid for other genres. Lesson 6. Users don't hate technology, they hate tech bros and they're traumatized. How can we make technology fun again? When you see people using generative AI technologies, you might find Miku and Tedo avatars in the comments of these folks, critiquing them to death, and this may seem like a contradiction, but it's really not. Vocaloid and the surrounding communities prided themselves on local single purchase software, consent-focused data collection, and high community disapproval against piracy, stolen voice samples, and even having pretty internal, nasty spats between translators and producers transferring videos overseas. If thousands of queer teenagers in the YouTube comments of 400 view videos in 2011 knew that taking a dead person's voice without their permission and selling it was wrong, we struggle to see how men in 20 times our income in their 40s and 50s don't. People don't hate technology. They hate harm and they hate theft. And the greater generative AI community pretending we never existed while also claiming to be researchers making $300,000 a year reeks of appropriation and a deliberate erasure of a community historically compromised and marginalized individuals, rather than a, oopsie doopsie. And our impact. Our Vocaloid's impact is felt well beyond music. Listening, you'll hear Miku in popular video games and like Undertale and Deltarune and Fortnite. And on David Letterman and in fashion and at Coachella or opening for Lady Gaga or selling Toyota Corollas or selling McDonald's or doing Domino's or in your next MTG pack. But I could keep going, but I think you get the point. It's even inspired many different engines, from Voiceroid to the newly and some would argue more popular Synth V. And voice banks are no longer bound to specific engines like the ever popular Tedo Kasane, as seen here, who is now starting to rival Miku in popularity on the Synth V engine, and having started one of the first major voice banks on the open source UTAU. But beyond mainstream success is something far more important, the impact that it's made on its users. I know many careers that started and seeded in Vocaloid, blooming inside and out, my own included, and I also know many that their only contribution was enjoyment. Recently, you might have seen Brazilian Miku trend on Blue Sky. This was in relation to the Japan-Brazil World Cup match, and as you may know, the two biggest user bases for Blue Sky outside of America are Japan and Brazil. The user base was arguing over which country would keep Miku in the aftermath of the match, as Brazil's deep love of Miku had blossomed into a huge meme, where a Brazilian rendition of Miku had taken the internet by storm, inspiring artists all over to create renditions of Miku in their own cultures. From Congo to occupied Palestine, the artists of the world touched by Miku rendered her in their culture's image. To think that people, even in active war zones who may never touch a computer, know Miku, that's the power of software. That's the power of engineering. That's the power of design. To know that Miku has been taken to space and put in time capsules, it's a calling, not just an invitation to be weirder, to design more authentically, and to connect weirder. Let your freak fly, guys. It's really important. When I think of open social and how to break this rotten, evil industry, it's the bravery to be weirder and to not neutralize ourselves, to know that others match our freak, and to create with the intention of sharing. I think it would be best summarized by my favorite Miku song, Frilly Tomorrow by Mitchie M. If we want something without fear, that will become a revolution to change the future. My final lesson is a flip of a common idiom. People don't remember what you say, they remember how it made them feel. I would turn it on its head and say people don't remember your software or what it looked like, they remember what it let them do. Hatsune Miku roughly translates to the first sound of the future. And my question to you is, will you listen? And that's my stuff. Any questions, comments? Wait.
You said you got your start of your career through Mitsu. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so in the Vocaloid community, I was a kid like many other people who started in that community, and it gave me an interest in UX. So no one here's a narc, right? This is really important. I was really good at piracy. I was a really big piracy girl. I grew up super poor. I didn't have a lot of devices in the house. And I got super good at doing piracy for my friends. And so I would help them set up things. I would help them kind of onboard. I never did music. I never did anything like that. But I knew like, oh, this is what technology could do, even though men were really horrible to me about it. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
What's your favorite incredibly specific like subreddit, message board, forum, feed of some sort?
Y'all are gonna hate.
Mine is tree law.
There's so many. So here's the thing, right? And this is embarrassing. This doesn't leave this room, guys, even though it's being live streamed. I was a B-tard back in the day. If you know, you know. I more so just love following weird cults. There's this one called Spring of Life of people who drink piss, and they have a convention. I was really upset because I couldn't blame white people for that one. Stuff like that. But yeah, I spend a lot of time on the weird parts of the internet. The other one I would say is Tor, because you know, like the deep web stuff. There's a guy on there that sells pretzels. It's not a euphemism. People really brought pretzels from that. Anything else, guys?
All right, let's give Belle another round of applause for her amazing talk.